It is our great honor this evening to welcome our very own Dave Martin.
It's weird to see my name next to message. That's bizarre. I will preface this with I have to jet as soon as I'm done with this. I have an interesting part-time job, which I'll reference in here, so I'm not able to stay for the whole service. My sincere apologies. My name is Dave Martin. As Pastor Chris alluded to, I've been a member here for about 2.5 years. If you've seen a person about yay tall that looks like me running around the sanctuary, that's half me. So I'll start. When I was 18 years old, I joined the Marine Corps, and I joined shortly after September 11th. It occurred during my senior year in high school, and as a native New Yorker, I was filled with a sense of duty, patriotism, and as a 34-year-old father, I've come to realize is a bit of misguided retribution. But I love being a Marine, and it's one of the things in my life that I'm the proudest of. But in all the bravado and machismo and doing really cool stuff with taxpayers' money, I realized that the one piece of the Marine Corps that meant the most to me was the piece that I didn't realize I was searching for. And that was the guys who would become my friends and eventually my brothers. It's a beautiful thing to take a cross-section of society and to create a high-performing team. In our case, a family. From the outside looking in, none of us had anything in common with each other. We are from all parts of the country, some parts of the world. And Jacqueline Bussey does a really good job of describing this as framily. It happens to put into better context than I could when she says, we often think of our biological family as our inner circle, which leaves everyone else standing outside waiting to get in. But Jesus reverses this. His point is clear. Like a broth made from just one bean, our typical definition of family is too weak to work with. I like this a lot because this idea of the inner circle, I'm close with my family, but there are certain things that either I can't share, I would never want to share, or would likely be lost in translation. It's not that they're weak, but it's a connection that I think a typical family might find foreign. It's interesting because I'm going through a renaissance of sorts in this family development. So I work part-time as a firefighter here in the city of Stillwater. In a year plus that I've worked as a firefighter in EMT, I've experienced things that I really don't think make for good dinner table conversation. It would certainly result in a lot of anxiety for Chandra. But my fellow firefighters are becoming family. We can commiserate, bleed, cry together, show up unannounced for a beer. It really is a beautiful thing. But in finding this inner circle, this family, you start to realize the nuances that comprise your family. I can tell you by the veracity of their snoring which non-biological member of my family is sleeping next to me. But to be honest, this level of detail barely scratches the surface of how close you get when you're in intimate quarters for an extended period of time. You start getting to know each other on a deeply personal level. I have a brother with whom I served in Afghanistan with that is a first-generation Afghan American. His parents fled in the 80s when Afghanistan was fighting the Russians. He had a family in the next valley that we were fighting in Afghanistan. Another one of my brothers came from such extreme poverty that when we were in the chow hall, we would notice that he would take extra food and put it in his pockets. I would like to clear that, you can't steal from a military chow hall. They will give you as much food as you want. You can even, the chow halls that we went to, you could take food to go. But it was so ingrained in him from a lifetime of poverty that he had to hedge his bets. And finally, I had a close friend of mine, Salazar, that he was a Marine that had the courage to come out to his closest friends. And this is 6 years before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. And And I remember distinctly sitting on an MRE box, playing spades in the middle of Iraq, when he told all of us. And in all of the moments that are seared into my memory from my time in the Marines, this might be one of the ones that's at the forefront, because I remember sitting there with this hardened group of warriors, and the immediate response was unconditional love. It wasn't, there was no making fun, there was no using any choice words. It was, I distinctly remember one close friend of mine, Kurt, looking at him, putting his hands around him, saying, "I love you, brother." And that was it. And what I realized is that the stratified group of misfits represented one thing, and that was unconditional love. And that unconditional love is to be reciprocated. I love my brothers Sadiq, Clanahan, Kurt, and Salazar because they would risk their lives to save mine, without question. And this love was a breakthrough moment for me, and it shaped my outlook to this day. I'm not an Afghan American. I did not grow up with the hunger pains of malnourishment, and I was born straight. I'm a privileged, middle-class Caucasian male, and I cannot fathom the pain associated with being assumed to be a terrorist just for being Muslim after serving your country honorably. And I cannot understand the feeling of going to bed hungry night after night and viewing the military for something that represents a consistent meal. And I do not know what it feels like to know that you could be denied the chance to serve the country that you love because of the person that you love. But what I can do is I can stand up for my brothers. I can reflect on all the love that was shown to me and extend that love forward. And I will allow the faith that teaches me unconditional love and acceptance to shape my passion to not just state my support, but to find every opportunity that I can to support those that are marginalized and those that are working to build a communal space of acceptance and love. So thank you very much for your time and letting me share this with you. And I'm really sorry that I have to go, but my shift in the fire department started at 6, so I've got a little bit of leeway to head up to the station. So thank you very much.